All right, so welcome to my Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness spoiler discussion. This is for those who have seen the movie. If you have not seen the movie yet, I do have a non-spoiler review on my channel, so check that out. I'll give you a minute now to go over there and check that out, and then we'll keep going with the spoiler talk. So let's talk about it. Okay. So I really did enjoy this movie. I thought there were some things I did not like, some things that I did like about it. Going into the film, the talk online, and I'll do a whole separate video about this, was that the movie's going to be all cameos, and it really wasn't. On the contrary, this movie, like, what I really liked is the development of Doctor Strange and Wanda. He was the primary main character and she was the primary antagonist, the villain, and they really developed both characters. She was a tragic character. You kept feeling bad for her because even though she was doing these evil things, like, all she wanted to do is be a mother. And that's a pretty likable thing, but she soon realized by the end that her wanting to be a mother was a very selfish thing in the context of ruining somebody else's family in the multiverse. And that was an eye-opening thing. That ending was perfect for that character. And then we have, America Chavez's debut, which was actually pretty comic accurate. I was surprised as to how comic accurate that was. And first of all, I love the scene early in the movie with Doctor Strange. And I don't mean Defender Strange. I mean like Doctor Strange when he was first being a hero, jumping into action to fight Shuma Gorath in the city. That was freaking awesome. Like, that was a very Sam Raimi-esque heroic scene. But I really loved Wanda. Like, the movie moved really fast because Wanda was like a villain in the first like 15 minutes, right? Or something like that. It was pretty quick. Like, once you saw Wanda, you knew she had sinister motives. And she went to attack Kamartaj, and that whole thing went down. And then they go into the multiverse. They added to the lore, but one thing I was surprised at is that they really didn't reference anything from Loki. They did reference stuff from WandaVision, which I was happy to see. No White Vision, but nothing really from Loki. But they did reference, like, Carl Mordo, even though it wasn't the same Carl Mordo. They went to Earth 838. And they like, you didn't have to see every movie or every TV show to see this movie, but it did help a lot to see WandaVision. Even though I feel like the character, she was semi-redeemed, she was still obsessed with finding what was going on. And you had to read between the lines because, like I said, she was obsessed with finding her kids, and what was going on is that she let the Darkhold kind of get into her brain and sort of make her more and more evil and turn her into the Scarlet Witch, which I thought was great. That was a great story arc for her. I gotta say, though, that I loved the heroes, the Marvel Illuminati in Earth 838. Captain Carter was cool. They had Black Bolt there. Maria Rambeau, because in this version she got the Captain Marvel powers. Reed Richards was freaking awesome. And of course, my favorite, Professor Charles Xavier, making his MCU debut, played by Patrick Stewart. I loved it so very much. But I gotta say, first of all, when they first showed Professor X and they played the X-Men 92 jingle, I popped. I fucking popped. I have talked about before how much I fucking love that cartoon. Like, when I was a kid, there were two superhero cartoons that everybody watched and loved. Batman the Animated Series and X-Men the Animated Series. Yes, we also had Superman and Spider-Man, but Batman and X-Men got the most critical acclaim because they were some of the first cartoons to ever treat kids like they were smart. They didn't dumb things down. They had very adult storylines and very mature storylines, but we still got it. I love the 92 X-Men cartoon. I've talked about this a million times. I mean, I adore that. That's how I got into Marvel, y'all, from that show. So hearing that jingle helped. However, people were complaining about Wanda overpowering the entire Illuminati. While I do understand that, it does make sense that this Wanda from the main Marvel timeline is way more powerful than the one they were used to. So she went in there and just destroyed everyone. But what I did not like is how easily Xavier went down in the astral plane. Listen, if you've read the comics, you know that Professor Xavier is damn near invincible inside of the astral plane. In the real world, he's obviously got his issues, but in the astral plane, Xavier is damn near invincible. I mean, he freaking, he's the most powerful mutant mind ever. So for him to get like his neck snapped like that, I thought it was too easy. It should have been more of a battle, should have been more of a struggle than it was in the movie. It was almost like it was too easy. Professor X will always put up a fight in the astral plane. Did not like that one bit. And I wanted to see more of the other universes. I think a lot of people are saying that. I would have loved to have seen more of the other Earths. 838 was cool, and seeing the Illuminati was a cool little, Easter egg, and you get to see Captain Carter come back, and like that was cool. Maria Rambeau, it was cool to see those characters, but it makes you just want to see more of the alternate Earths, in my opinion. But that wasn't really what the story was about. This movie was not really all about the cameos. It was about the development. I love how they had the Book of Vigilanti and the Darkhold as MacGuffins and like the importance of them. I love that Strange had to battle an alternate version of himself. There were multiple alternate Wandas and alternate Stranges, so ultimately it did make sense. But the villain of this movie was without question Wanda. She was the one sending the demons after America Chavez. I thought that the idea of having her learn to control her powers was cool, and she finally did it at the end. But man, I gotta say, there was a hell of a lot of Evil Dead here. Not just with Bruce Campbell's cameo when he punched himself in the face like Evil Dead 2, but the fact that freaking Doctor Strange fights against Deadites, bro. They pretty much were freaking Deadites, bro. Those little demonic flying skeleton things, those were Deadites, bro. Like Sam Raimi's bringing back the classics. And when Strange took over his own body, that dead body of Strange, the one that was from the other universe, from Defender Strange, that was like freaking Evil Ash in Army of Darkness. It was the same idea, like the same kind of joke. So, again, if you are a longtime Sam Raimi fan, there was a whole bunch of Sam Raimi, like, homages to himself or whatever you want to call it stylistically. The movie was played up a little bit like a horror movie. There were some scenes that, some jump scares, but I just kept watching it and I didn't really see it as a horror movie. I really didn't. In fact, I would actually classify this film as being more of a romantic story than a horror movie. Why am I saying that? Because the relationship between Strange and Christine Palmer, that was deep. The fact that she tells him at the beginning of the film that he always wanted to hold the knife. And then later on, he tells the alternate Earth version of Christine that he loves her, knowing he cannot tell the one from the main timeline that because she's already married to someone else. But he told her, and he's like, I love you across all timelines. And like, it was a powerful scene, dude. That was a really powerful scene. And that was crazy development for Strange. I feel like that, to me, that story arc, like the Strange story arc and Wanda's story arc, carried this film. And I think that I would rather have seen this version of the story than one that had a bunch of cameos. I thought that was really powerful stuff. Stylistically, Sam Raimi really did amazing work with the visual effects. The first Doctor Strange movie had all kinds of wacky effects, and this one did too. But I think this one's effects were even more just, out there, just very out there, very strange, no pun intended, and unique visuals, and I really did like that quite a bit. And I like that Benedict Wong was like, he had a lot to do in this movie, he really did, and he's popular. I mean, he got a bunch of cheers in my theater, bro. He's over. He's a popular character. I just didn't ever feel like it was really like a horror movie. It was. I see there were some scenes that were horror-esque, and there was like a weird kind of post-apocalyptic feel of like the Ultrons and Earth 838 and all that stuff. Like, that was cool. Like, I'm not saying I didn't like that. I loved that aspect of the film. And the Illuminati, like, they got wiped out. You know what I mean? And it was cool, like, seeing them. Like, all that stuff was great. But I just saw it as being like an adventure story. Like I said, it's like more of an adventure. Doctor Strange and America Chavez's adventures through the multiverse. Although I feel like they could have explored, like I mentioned, different universes. This could have made the movie longer. I know that there was a rumor that there's like 40 minutes that was cut from this movie, or 35 minutes, something like that. So I hope we get some of that stuff put back in, because I'm curious to see if they did go to other universes or not. And really, it was really emotional how at the end of the film, Wanda seeing, coming into the other reality and seeing herself and seeing her kids and scaring her kids, and her kids not loving her because that's not the mother that they want. That's not the mother that they had. Billy and Tommy, they were crying, and she realized like, what have I become? Like, I've become a monster. It's not worth it. Like, there's got to be another way. And the thing is that there is another way. There probably is a way for her to have her children at some point. It's just right now this is not the right way. Because her goal was to take the kids away from the other version of herself. But it's like, that other version of you is their real mother. You know what I mean? So I like that America Chavez, Doctor Strange, and Wanda all had character arcs. You had 3 different characters that were all important, and they all had their own arcs. And in some ways, Christine Palmer even had a little bit of a character arc, at least for the one from the other dimension did, from Earth 81838, I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie, Like, I thought the movie had a lot of heart. Like, it had tons and tons of heart, and that's appreciated. It really is. I'm gonna do a video at some point discussing how the leaks and the rumors may have hurt this movie, because I do think that they did. I feel like all the speculation, all the talk, everything, I feel like all of that may have hurt the film. I think some of us went into this movie with like No Way Home expectations, and No Way Home was way different than this. But I feel like as I was walking out of the theater, like, I loved the movie for what it was, right? That I did. But I also felt like I personally felt like the lack of cameos that everybody was hyped up to see. I feel like that certain people were overhyping themselves, and they wound up being let down. No Way Home, I think, was just like a landmark film, right? And I'm not saying this movie was, I don't think it was as good as No Way Home, because No Way Home really hit you with the emotional power like that, and this did too in some points. But I mean, it just, I think a lot of people were expecting something they did not get, and it's all because of these fake leaks. And it just goes to show that sometimes fake leaks can actually damage a movie, and it doesn't always happen. I think WandaVision was the first of the MCU like properties to really suffer from this. Same thing with, I think, this. I feel like even Endgame and Infinity War kind of overcame the fake leaks, and because there were all kinds of fake leaks for Endgame, but the movie itself was so damn good and so perfectly made that it overmatched everything. I think that a lot of the fan theories were probably in some ways more hype than the movie. People thought they were going to see Toby and Andrew in this one. And I'm serious. That was like a rumor that they were going to be here in this one in the cameo because of the fact that Raimi directed the old Spider-Man movie. So we're going to see them again. And we didn't. People thought we were going to go back to like Peter, to Toby's Peter universe. Like, we didn't even get that. That would have been cool. I agree with that. Would have been cool. But like, I just feel like what we got was a great story about 3 characters that developed well. And, gotta talk about this. Some of my favorite scenes. I love the humor in the movie because it wasn't over the top. I love the fight with Shuma Gorath in the streets. I love the music battle. That was some of the most creative. Dude, that Doctor Strange versus Evil Strange music battle with like the notes like playing the music was freaking brilliant. You could not do a scene like that in like the comics. It wouldn't fit right. It wouldn't be the same. You know what I mean? That's something that only works in a movie or a TV show because of the medium, because of the fact that the story can be told better with, the actual like effects or the actual like, the actual representation, like the visual and audio representation. It only works in this medium, not in a written format. And that was just beautiful stuff, Like, that was that was probably my favorite fight in the whole movie. Like, I gotta be honest, I think it was. You know, seeing Wanda rip up the Illuminati was cool too, but I'm just surprised they didn't have any backup plan for her. If they're the Illuminati, they should have something to combat her. I mean, yeah, she was the strongest. When she's mad and she's got the power of the Darkhold, she's the strongest in the universe, it seems, right? Like, it really seems that way. We saw how strong she was in Endgame when she freaking tore Thanos' armor apart. But I mean, this is ridiculous, yo. Like, she took out Captain Marvel. Captain Carter, she fucking sliced Captain Carter in half, bro. Like, what was that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just insanity, yo. She turned Mr. Fantastic into freaking spaghetti. But I do think that he'll be back to play Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movie in a few years, whenever that comes out. Anyways, really enjoyed this movie. It was great. And with that being said, I will bring this video to a close. And I'm sure we'll have more to talk about soon, like where they go from here. Because in the mid-credit scene, Doctor Strange gets pulled into the dark dimension again. So where's that going to go? Is that Strange 3? Or there's a lot of plot threads right now in Marvel that are going to be hard to keep track of. With that being said, I will bring this video to a close. We'll talk to you soon.